think we have another email. I think we got an email from Bella, if you could put that up. I was in a car accident. The other driver was found at fault by the police. I thought everything was fine. I reported it to my insurance right away, but she didn't, and she hasn't responded to messages. I'm starting to get pretty angry because her insurance will not accept liability until they talk to her. Is there some sort of law requiring them to accept liability if she continues not to respond? Bella, that is a great question, actually, and it's one that we actually run into quite a bit, because once a wreck happens, the insurance company has a right to do their own investigation to determine who's at fault, because the person at fault is going to be the one that ultimately has to pay for the damages, whether it's to
Correct.
property or injuries. And so, what does Bella do? It sounds like the other person is ghosting her and her insurance company.
Well, it really depends. Like, I have a case right now where the at-fault driver didn't even respond to the lawsuit, but their lawyer did, and they can't find them. So the short version is the insurance company has a right to talk with their insured and investigate. But if it's a rear-end car wreck, it's a really easy call. You can normally bypass that.
Right.
If somebody runs to a stop sign at an intersection where there's only one stop sign, you can bypass that. It's more on those potentially disputed liability cases where it gets a lot more difficult. But usually, I hate saying this, usually after about 7 to 10 days, if they haven't completed their liability investigation, it's a little bit on them, but there is always the chance, if the insurer is not cooperating, it is messing up coverage or jeopardizing coverage.
And that's really kind of the big issue, Bella. So you're talking about the other person is not responding to you and not responding to her insurance company. Her insurance company, if it is determined that the other person was at fault for the wreck, then they are going to owe you to fix your car or replace your car if it's a total loss. And they're going to owe you for your medical expenses and your lost wages. And if you have a permanent injury, they may owe you for pain and suffering. But they have a right to do an investigation, and part of that investigation is interviewing their own insured to find out what their version of the story is. If a person is insured with an insurance company, they have a contractual agreement with that insurance company. And part of that contract says they have to cooperate with the investigation. And so what Brian was talking about is if this person isn't cooperating, then the insurance company is going to say, hey, our insured isn't cooperating with us. They've breached the contract.
We don't know what happened.
We don't know what happened. They've breached the contract. Therefore, we're not going to provide any coverage whatsoever. And in our situation, we're trying to get the insurance company engaged. We don't want them to disclaim coverage for a loss because their insured's not talking with them. So what typically happens is we do our own investigation and we provide that information.
Evidence. We are a lot more stern with the insurance company, so they kind of take us a little bit more seriously. They know we know the law. They know we can file a lawsuit. So they treat us a little bit differently. I don't want to say that with all insurance companies. There's about 2 or 3 which will drag their feet and say, hey, we have to talk to this one person. But a lot of times, if we are stern enough, they will accept liability. If we have a witness, if we have photos,
and if
we give them a crash report.
Right.
That's one of the things we talk about all the time is even if you're in a minor car accident, which I have people that I know that call me and I have to tell them to call the police, you need to have it documented. Number one, so it's proof that it happened. You would be surprised how hard it is to find somebody if you don't, get their information. They write their name down. It could be John Smith, and their phone number is 850-123-4567. It's very hard to find John Smith sometimes.
Right.
So it's important if the police are there, they're getting everybody's driver's license, insurance information, verifying it. So calling the police always helps.
Right. The crash report will provide evidence, witness statements, things like that. But at some point, if the other side's not going to cooperate, then there is a coverage issue you have to deal with. But again, that's why you get a lawyer involved, because we can typically maneuver around that.